I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request from Lucas. Thank you so much for your generosity. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for review, re-review, topic reaction, randomness, out of the blueness, what have you. Now, this is for Season 1 of Batman Beyond. Now, I had heard of Batman Beyond, but I never saw it. Just never came up. Just the opportunity never came up. I don't own it. And I'm like, okay, it's Batman, but it's in the future. Okay, what's the deal with this? And I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. I really enjoyed this. I really liked it. I might hit... It's hard. I might even like it more than Batman animated series because I like the future setting. It really made me want to see Spider-Man 2099 as a cartoon or movie. Just Spider-Man 2099, I'm like, why can't we have that fucking cartoon of that? Why can't we with the costume and all? This shows that that can work very well, if done as well as this. The music, you have the theme song by Christopher Carter, but even the music, it's at times exceptional, or very good. I was very impressed by the music in this. The lead, Terry, really grew to like him. You have the older Batman, Kevin Conroy, so it's nice you have that link, who's a much gruffer and more cynical guy than before. Stoddard Channing, who I remember from Grease, she voices Barbara Gordon, who's the new commissioner. And a lot of stories had either really interesting ideas or... Yeah, it didn't feel too kiddified. It didn't feel too silly. I love the look of the Batman suit. Yes, it's more technical and electronic, but because it's so far in the future, it made a bit of sense. And then the way it's introduced is because you have Bruce Wayne in the first episode as an older guy, so of course his suit has a little bit more technical ability to it to compensate for not being as young as he used to. And the way it started, I'm like, okay, this is interesting because his lady gets kidnapped. He's in this suit. It's a cool looking suit. The red bat on the chest. He's punching and kicking the shit out of people, but then his heart keeps screwing up. And it gets to a point where he almost has to use a gun but then he's able to beat the guy, and then that's when he realizes it's time to quit. And I love the way the intro, it's a really cool intro. You know, the music, like the guitar work on the music, and just the way the intro is edited, and you have like apathy, greed, these words pop up. I'm like, wow, okay. I don't know what I assumed the show was like, but it was better than I thought. And then it's 20 years later. Some of the villains that pop up is interesting. Like in one episode, you have a guy who reminded me of Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man comics. You have this shape-shifting. Imagine Imagine Venom, the symbiote, if that was female, and it's a character named Ink. And you have some stuff that when you think about it, you go, wow, that's kind of fucked up for a cartoon, which I liked. Like this one guy who is voiced by William H. Macy, who forms a crush on this female shapeshifter Ink. I want to be like you. And then she does it, and then it's like a human, but malformed, and it's something out of fucking basket case Frank Henenlotter or something. There's a lot of... Going back to the first episode, you have I like the fact that you have this gang called the Jokers that you sell. They're obviously influenced by the Joker of years before. Again, the Terry character, I liked the voice of the actor. I liked that the guy, he wasn't annoying, he wasn't irritated, he wasn't whiny. He wanted to do the right thing. The first episode, again, music is an important part of anything for me. Because I think it really helps something. Even if something that's mediocre, it could be helped by a solid or wonderful score, soundtrack, things of that nature. And here, there's a bit where either, he's being chased by the Joker's gang, or when Bruce Wayne comes in and helps him out, or when he finds a cave, you have this sort of eerie music and nice moody lighting when he's finding the Batcave. At times, you hear a voice, you go, oh cool, that person's in this. Michael Gross from the Tremors films, among others. He's the voice of Terry's dad, who then gets killed, and he wants to find who did it. He knows this guy used to be Batman. You're not Batman, you whacked out old fraud. But then that leads to part 2. The bad guy is... The main head bad guy is Sherman Howard, or Howard Sherman, however you want to call it. Bub, from Day of the Dead. The original Day of the Dead, Bub. I'm like, oh, that's... In the credits they say Sherman Howard, so I'll call him that. And then his henchman is George Takei. Sulu from Star Trek. Okay, it's an interesting choice. And you have Terry getting used to this. He steals the suit. This thing with nerve gas. It shows how far Bruce has gone because he shuts the suit off. Hey, it's my suit, give it back. And he lets the guy get beaten up for a little bit. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a bit extreme. They think that he's going to let this guy get killed because of this. But I guess that's the whole point. It's the whole point of showcasing that. But then he turns the suit back on. I went on to... Like, the... Bruce and this guy worked so much better for me than Bruce and Robin. And the new Batman Adventures with that annoying little fucking kid, Batman. The little annoying kid Robin. Yeah, Batman the Animated Series, and then the new Batman Adventures because they wanted to be more like Superman the Animated Series. How about you be your own fucking series? You're doing just fine. To try to be like Superman the Animated Series was a stupid decision. It was a dumb decision. And fucked up that show, in my opinion. But here, You know, it is the first, you just say, year of this guy as Batman. So there's a lot of times like he gets his butt kicked or he screws up, and there's a part of me's like, oh man, you know, I'm tired of seeing him getting his ass kicked. But on the flip side, I'm going, well, there's a reason he does prove himself time and time again, and because he's still new to this, so it makes sense that, oh, he's not a fucking perfect person. He's not Ray Skywalker. He's not a Mary Sue, or what the hell is a Mary Sue in male form? Jim Sue? Oh, you have to... So that's why I could go with that. If he was in this for 5 years and still doing this, okay, that's... But, again, it makes sense in this aspect, so I could let that go. And in a way, this does it better what they're doing. They try to do Robert Downey Jr. and Spider-Man, which is funny because he had a suit that was more technical and high tech, I should say. And, you know, it really did make me wish we had a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton. Like, if you had a... What? God, who the hell would play Batman? Terry, though. It depends what year you would do it. I mean, technically, you could do it nowadays. And that's the thing, they don't screw it up because they don't give it to stupid fucking Flash and that fucking loser. And these new Flash movies. Like, you could do a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. Do a Batman Beyond movie then. Not fucking Flash. I don't give a fuck about Flash. This new one. I like John Wesley Shipp's Flash from the 90s. I don't give a fuck about this new punk-ass bitch. I need friends. No, you need an enema. Because you got shit for brains. Put it right up your nose. I'm sorry, I hate the new Flash and Zack Snyder and all that bullshit. And that's what you don't waste Michael Keaton on? Instead of doing a Batman Beyond movie? I don't know who you'd cast as Batman Beyond nowadays. I mean, you know, Terry nowadays. Thought let's try Slim Pickens. I have to get back to you on that one. But yeah, even, you know, the second episode, I like that Sherman Howard, because of some stuff that happens, he becomes, I really thought the design was cool, where this is his name, but I call him the Green Skull, because of this radiation, and I like this later on where his skin will chip away. His skin will chip away and reveal this green radiation glow, and yeah, I just call him the Green Skull. And yeah, I know that's not his name, but yeah, the Red Skull is the Green Skull. Just really cool design, like the skeletal features, but then the green glow in the dark around him. Again, a neat design. I thought, yeah, this is a great setup for the show. Episode 3, that's where you have the shape-shifting female saboteur named Ink. I think it was like, okay, it's kind of like a female Venom. Interesting. Nice animation, seeing how flexible it is. And yeah, that's where you get Sherman Howard, the fact that his skin will shed and reveal these spots of the green radiation. There's a point where Ink tries to force herself down our lead character's throat. I'm like, wow, that's kind of hardcore. I don't know why, something about that I went, yeah, fucking shit. And it also shows that Bruce Wayne's not useless. Like, he hoses down her ass with water, but then it also shows that Terry's not useless either. He just fucking freezes her to pieces. Then you got Barbara Gordon, who is Batgirl. Now she's the commissioner. And I'm like, wow, they got Stockard Channing. I knew that voice looked familiar. I mean, sounded familiar. And So I have to remember all this, because I'm not fumbling around. Let's see. I do wish we had a Spider-Man 2099 show or movie. That's what I mean, like, you know what? I'm tired of regular Spider-Man. If you're not gonna have him be fucking an adult Spider-Man, the man in Spider-Man, then give me Spider-Man 2099. Please. What do you mean animated movie? CGI movie. I like that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and 2099 had an appearance. Give me that fucking movie. Give me the show. God damn it. See, episode 4, yeah, it was called Golem. Yeah, this dirty kid that gets picked on, and his dad has this thing where he uses robots for construction. You can control them. Like, you put something on, you control them, they're over here. Seth Green is in the show as the bully. And, you know, this kid gets picked on, you feel sorry for him, and of course he wants the retribution. So he uses that thing to attack the bully's car. Something happens. His mind gets connected to the machine, so like a golem. And I didn't mind this episode because I'm open and into stories where you have the kid that's picked on and wanting revenge. I mean, Clint Howard was in a film called Evil Speak. Carrie from back in the day. You know, there's plenty of other stories that have done that where the kid is picked on. He gets his revenge rebuttal, but he goes too far. He's your father. Not for long. I didn't mind that line of dialogue. I did a decent episode. Action-wise, there's nothing that sticks out, but compared to other episodes. But yeah, again, didn't mind. I'm not sure if I buy Seth Green as a bully. Because I like Seth Green, but that voice, I just don't know if that voice works for a bully type of character. It's like when he tried to be Leonardo in the 2012 cartoon after they fired Jason Biggs. And I'm like, Jason Biggs was better as Leo than you, Seth. You don't sound like a Leonardo, and you don't sound like a bully. Episode 5, Meltdown. This is a Mr. Freeze episode that was better than the last Mr. Freeze episode I saw. That was part of the new Batman Adventures. Because this one had a more interesting story. Almost as good as the... Oh, what the hell was that called? The one that ends with him looking at the snow globe of his wife that he feels he failed while he's in prison. Because Mr. Freeze is still alive. He's a head in a jar, so it's kind of like Futurama. He's given a body, and he wants to do the right thing. He wants to, and you buy into the fact he wants to make reparations for people he's hurt. And this guy who tried to kill him, he lets him go. If you're wondering what the hell that is, there are chickens and roosters around here, and one won't shut the fuck up. You know, neighbors, you know, they have their chickens and roosters, and that's what happens. We're in the middle of nowhere, and, you know, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to choke the chicken, especially on camera. Oh, that's a different choking the chicken. See, this is why I usually do this at night, but shut the fuck up! Stupid fucking asshole. No one's listening to you. They think you're an asshole. Shut the fuck up. Sorry, I'm going off track. Thing pisses me off. Oh, I guess there's your added bonus for the video, I guess. But yeah, I like what they try to do with Mr. Freeze. And if you don't do that with a villain, this is a villain that makes sense to do that with. Because even that previous episode I talked about, that I really liked and it was emotional, that's a sympathetic villain done right and well. So again, with this, the fact that he wants to go the straight and narrow path now that he has a body where he can feel and he's not just cold all the time. But then Sherman Howard and his group fuck him over. And he's pissed. And he's like, fuck this. I'm going to get revenge for these people fucking me over. And I think he kills some people. Because he freezes them and you never get to see them unfrozen. So, yeah, this does have some danger involved. I like the line where Mr. Freeze, to this new Batman, believe me, you're the only one who cares. There's a certain tragedy element to Mr. Freeze that I thought they did decently well here. And yeah, he's about ready to do some bad things, but then he's like, fuck this, and he saves Batman. So yeah, I thought Meltdown episode 5 was a good Mr. Freeze. I don't know if this is the ending of him, but if it is, it's a decent way to go out. Episode 6, Heroes, this is another one I really liked. Because it's kind of a darker version of Fantastic Four, or in this case 3. Because you have these 3 superheroes, Magma, which is a creature made of magma. Freon's a lady that could go through the air mist. And then 2D Man, which is kind of, Mr. Fantastic. And how they were scientists and there was an accident and now they have these powers. But the sad thing is they're breaking down. So yeah, they're heroes, but Magma and Robert Davi is the voice of Magma, who's the leader of these 3. I'm like, that voice sounds familiar. Holy shit, it's Robert Davi from Maniac Cop 2 and 3, Predator 2, Die Hard. You're good, underrated actor Robert Davi. So it's nice to have him voice the character. They fight soldiers. You realize what's going on. That they're breaking down. But then by doing something, they're going to hurt a lot more innocent people. Batman needs to stop them. And then you have a point where Batman gets to fight 3 people with superpowers. So it's some cool badass moments that have shows that Batman is not a punk ass bitch. You get the idea that these 3 are dead now because they were breaking down. He does this thing where 2 of them get sucked up into the ceiling and beats up Magma, and then the Magma's like frozen, or not even frozen, but like the red dissipates, it's blackened like charcoal. I'm like, are they dead? It seemed like a somber ending. And the one who I believe is Kevin Dunn, the one scientist that wasn't there, but he was supposed to be there, and I don't know, just the way it ended has a decent somber ending, which took me off guard, but not in a bad way, because I didn't expect it to end that way. But it gave a bit more a little bit more power, a little bit more legitimacy to the story it was telling. And it's like, okay, they changed, they're saving folks, but then now they're going to do something that's going to kill a lot of innocent people, and they don't care. Or at least, it's like, we want to save ourselves, self-preservation. But, he's got to do what he's got to do. So, but yeah, that actually rather light. By the way, I love the future aspect. I've said that before, but I love how each episode you can really get into the creativity. Kind of like how Batman the Animated Series had the 1930s aesthetic, and then this does the opposite. It has the future aesthetic. And so you can be creative with like the future sports that people play, or the designs of the ships, the city-scapes. the technology at hand. Terry has his girlfriend. The girlfriend isn't much of a character. Like, she pops up every once in a while, but I can't tell you 3 things about this girlfriend. And, this is season 1 is 13 episodes. I'm like, can I say anything about this girlfriend? Not really. So she isn't much of a character, to be fair. Episode 7, Shriek. Oh yeah, this is one where Sherman Howard hires this guy who does this thing with sounds. And he'll put on this costume and create like sound waves that will blow up cinder blocks and demolish buildings. Also, they're trying to fuck with Bruce Wayne. So like, you find Bruce Wayne on this bandage at a hospital to make him think like he's going crazy and in a psych ward because he hears voices but no one else does, but it's because the guy's fucking with him. This has one of the coolest bits in the whole season of the show. I thought this was very creative. During the battle between Batman and now this guy's called Shriek. Shriek does something with his doo-doo-doo, and there's no sound. There's no sound except footsteps so that the guy can know where he's at, and just the music of the show. So you have this action and fights and explosions happening, and all you're hearing is footsteps and music. Because, again, the guy manipulated all the other sounds, at least to what Batman hears. And that was unexpected. But that's a way of taking the concept and actually doing something with it and not leaving it on the table. And that's when I went, wow, okay, I gotta give kudos. What's kudos? Kudos. That means credit. That means, the golf clap. I really liked that. I thought that was a really cool idea. Also, I never mentioned Bruce Wayne has this dog, and the dog is pretty damn cool. The dog has it's a cool dog. It's a badass dog. Has some really nice moments, including this episode, so wanted to mention that dog. It's a cool dog. But yeah, that episode I rather enjoyed. Episode 8, Dead Man's Hand. Well, that's when you have a new iteration of the Royal Flush Gang, which was villains that Batman dealt with years ago, but these are mostly new people. And this is one of those things that you cannot do in a movie, because, the Royal Flush, the way they look, they fly around on big playing cards. You can't do that in live action. Or you can, but it'd be hard to not make it look ridiculous. But that's something you can get away with in animation. And he's having trouble with his girlfriend, so he gets with this new girl. I will say, though, that they kind of rush that, where him and this new girl meet, and then it seems like just like that, they're so emotionally connected and involved. And I'm going, but you two barely know each other, and we've barely seen you two do anything with each other, or relate to each other, or even talk to each other. So that's one aspect. I'm like, I don't really buy that you two are this emotionally connected. Why am I supposed to buy that? I just don't know. So granted, there's only 20-some minutes. That's why I think this is a character that should have been maybe brought up 2-3 episodes ago. Like maybe 3 episodes ago, girlfriend ain't working out, here's his new girl. Then you see the new girl in maybe 2 or 3 more episodes, and then the reveal. I think that would have been better. I think that would have made oh shit. Okay, we've dealt with the 2 of them in a couple episodes. This is the result. Oh, that sucks. So I do think that would have been more beneficial. But again, I do like the music in this show. There's some nice guitar riffs in this episode. Again, another good showcase of Batman kicking ass, capturing the game one by one. So a good battle. You know, I like the idea, which is, you know, this girl he's in love with, but is part of the bad guy. And Bruce even says, "Let me tell you a story about a woman named Selena Kyle." But yeah, I think the detriment is trying to force this romance in such a short amount of time. So I don't think you get an emotional connection of like, why do these two like each other so much? They barely spend time with each other. Like I said, and to repeat, if you had like 3, 4 episodes building up to this, like this character pops up and then you go on with the story, I think that would work better. And I think that would have made this more effective. But other than that, I did like it. Episode 9, The Winning Edge. I like the idea behind this, where you did some action, like him finding the Joker's game. You have this future sport with these... It's pretty much steroids that they're taking, roid rage. That's really what it is. And you realize it's connected to Bane and his Venom. And that Bane himself is in this wheelchair because too many years of his Venom. But someone else took advantage of that Venom and is using it with the coach and the players. And I guess what I liked about it, you know, this is a cartoon, but it's pretty much talking about steroids. And also junkies. Because some of them would get the patches and then, you know, they act like a junkie, waiting for their fix. And again, that's not a typical thing to have in a cartoon. So it's like, well, how do we work around it? Well, it's the Venom, you know, Bane's Venom. Because how many cartoons do you know deal with cocaine or heroin? Not a whole lot. Well, we can't say those, but if it's Bane's Venom, you know, they do a workaround on it. And yeah, I did not mind that. You know, the main villain... I mean, the fact that you don't have Bane himself, and like maybe Batman, this Batman can deal with Bane, and this Batman can deal with the actual Bane, and then one more time, maybe do a nod where he tries to break Batman's back, but then Bruce is like, "Hey, I thought about that." Or Terry, you think it's going to be the typical break in the back, but then Terry gets out of it, and I've heard stories about you. Like, it's just something to that effect. So the fact is not Bane, and it's just this guy who knew Bane. That was kind of disappointing. But I mean, still doing, you know, the ward rage stuff like Bane, and then leading to an overdose pretty much, but again, I do wish it was like one last hurrah for Bane. And then you could have it be he's now in a wheelchair and too much Venom. And that's where Bane is left. I guess that's my only... one of the only little issues that I kind of wish was different. But that's just me. Let's see, episode 10, Spellbound. This one... It was alright, because the idea where this character makes people imagine stuff, like makes this lady imagine she's in an adventure, but it's to be able to steal shit. He does hypnosis, like makes this guy picturing that he's in a war, makes his bride think she's seeing monsters when it's her husband, all to be able to steal shit that's near them. And you find out this is a psychologist, giving our Batman, you know, Terry visions. This is a cool bit where you have zombies. This is one of the visions he sees. And Bruce is helping him out, telling him, hey, there's nothing there. So it gives, you know, validity for Bruce Wayne being there as a great ally. But I mean, just something about it, I don't know what it was, didn't draw me in like the other episodes, and I can't put my finger on it. But I mean, it's an interesting idea, the whole hypnosis thing. But yeah, I can't really put my finger on it. It's an okay episode, but just something about it didn't really draw me in as much as the others. I can't really put my finger on it. But, like I said, I didn't mind it. Episode 11, that's the one called Disappearing Ink. That's the one I was talking about where William H. Macy plays pretty much a creep. Just Ink, the female Venom symbiote thing, is in containment. And this guy watches her and even kisses the containment thing. And the guy who's the boss sees it on camera and goes, "You're fired. Dude, you too fucking weird." So Ink escapes. And there's some nice valid moments. You know, Batman gets caught, but at least that gives Bruce Wayne to be able to come out one more time, this time in an exosuit, and go into a battle. You get a little bit of a body horror element, because William H. Macy wants to be like Ink. He wants to be like Ink. So she gives him his wish, and he's like Ink, but it's like a human, creamy, pink form, but just all fucked up. But yeah, like Frank had a lot of body horror stuff. His reward. And that aspect, I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty dark and pretty fucked up in a good way. I did quite like that. It gave a bit of an edge to it. So that's when it doesn't feel like I'm being talked down to as a cartoon. Episode 12, A Touch of Curare. Pretty much this is Blue Lady with a sword who's an assassin that's hired to kill Barbara Gordon's husband. And I recognize the voice of the husband is Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield is one of the cops in the Terminator film. It's him and Lance Henriksen as a cop. One of the cops to be killed at the police station at the end. He was in Cliffhanger for a bit. He's been quite a few stuff, Paul Winfield. And it's a nice showing for Barbara Gordon that she used to be Batgirl. Apparently, like, Batgirl and Batman used to be a thing. That's what they say in this episode. And that's one of the reasons why she left. And went, okay. Creepy Batman. Fucking pedo. She was of age, yes, technically. But it's like, that seems pretty Stevie. Like the daughter, like, you're related to Commissioner Gordon, who's my friend, kinda, and we're together, and then we're, together. But, I mean, it's done better here than, what the fuck was that movie where they actually do have sex? Was it, the Killing Joke? Or, yeah, that stupid fucking movie. Yeah, it's done better here than that bullshit. So I'll give it that. But I mean, there's some decent action in this, and it's pretty fast-paced. As Batman stops the consistent assassination attempts. The villain, the fact that she doesn't talk, so it makes her a bit more mysterious. Stockard Channing did a good job. Nice showcase for Barbara. She even gets her able to use a Batarang one more time. There's an action scene on a train, which is a cool environment to have. You get to learn a little bit of more backstory. Like Dick Grayson was fed up being in Bruce's shadow and he left. And then you get the idea that Batgirl and Bruce were boyfriend-girlfriend, which I'm like, really? Maybe that's in the comics. Maybe that's the thing that was in the comics. Must be, because they keep bringing it up from time to time. Which, I don't know, it seems a bit Stevie. Maybe, doesn't this bit Stevie to you? To whoever's watching this? All 5 people? But hey, it's better than, 5's better than none. I like that the assassin has these samurai moves. They're doing some pretty decent animation. So, yeah, I did like that episode too. Ascension. The last episode of season 1, where you have the Green Skull, Sherman Howard's character. You get the idea that he's not be able to control it. He's going to go critical at a point. Contacts his son, played by Terry Elwes. Terry Elwes from the first Saw film, The Princess Bride, Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's cool to hear Terry Elwes in there. That villain is revealed on TV. Just he loses it on camera, and the whole skin peels away, and now everyone knows that this guy's the villain, this Green Skull radiation guy. I thought the action scene, which is in a submarine, could have been better, like more exciting. For your finale of the season, I guess I was expecting grander action, like a big epic action for your finale. I would think for the season finale, go big or go home. And I just didn't think it was that big. I didn't. You're in a submarine. Okay, it goes critical, escape. I guess I was hoping for like a big action set piece, and it didn't really deliver on that front. And to me, it's kind of one of the lesser episodes, which is sad because it's the end of season 1. I'd like to say, Terry Elwes to be the son of this character. I think his name is Powers. Funny enough, forget his first name. I just there was something bigger, grander. The grander fight or action scenes, I think, would have been like a big knockdown, drag out fight with this guy who has radiation, so he's got to protect himself. But yeah, it's more Terry Elwes wants to fuck over his dad, and then Batman is sort of in there in the sub as well, and throwing fire extinguishers that something blows up, and then Green Skull goes critical. They get out of the sub. You think he's dead, but he probably won't stay dead. So I don't know. I was expecting something bigger, more grand, and that was a bit disappointing. That's probably of season 1. Probably my least favorite episode, sadly. Yeah, it was probably my least favorite episode, and that's, the end of season. So yeah. I mean, if I have a favorite episode of season 1, maybe the 2-parter that began. I'd probably say that, because it was a nice way to introduce the viewers to the show. After that, probably... see. I really like Heroes. I really like Shriek. I like the touch of curare. Meltdown. It was a pretty damn good season. Other than, and that's why, again, I'm like, it's really good, and the finale's But I mean, I know there's a season 2 and season 3, and actually, Luke is also one of my thoughts on 4 other episodes of Batman Beyond, so I'll just add them at the end here. Season 2, Part 1, Season 2, Episode 6, Season 2, Episode 18, and then Season 3 episode. So I'll just add it here. Season 2, Part 1, Splicers. I actually did like that one. So at least the season started off strong. Where genetic augmentations is the new rage. This idea where you could go to someone, you can splice your DNA, so if you want to look more like a wolf, or more like a fox, or more like... you could do that. And that was an interesting idea. And I think that's actually an idea that'd be cool to do for a movie. This gene splicing augmentation. You know how people, they do tattoos, nose rings, nipple rings, earrings. I just see people going for that. I just see people saying, yeah, made me look like a wolf, maybe look like... I could see a lot of people doing it. I mean, if people are wearing fursuits, well, there's a difference between wearing a fursuit than actually messing with your body. So there is a difference. But there would be people that would do it. So yeah, I thought that was an intriguing idea. Ice-T has a voice in this. He's one of the people that splices their DNA. But the problem is that they did get into this animal rage. I do... This is a nice, like, serious, edgy moment where they capture, or at least they inject Batman, and so he turns to this bat creature. I like the design of the bat creature, and again, it shows that Bruce Wayne is still a valid part of this. He's not thrown away. They didn't do, Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker, where that person's useless. No, they didn't do that. And able to cure him. And then I was talking about the dog. The dog, badass in this as well, where Batman uses this dog on the trail, cures these three. And I thought this was a really cool moment where the dog helps him, but then he helps the dog, and he's like, don't touch my dog, and punches the shit out of the bad guy, and their explosion happens, and now the dog finally accepted and likes this new Batman. Like, that was cool. That was a nice, cool touch. It's a cool dog, badass dog. And the idea, I think the plot's pretty intriguing idea. Like I said, could work for a movie. And you have some fun action when he's fighting these three animal-looking baddies. And then the main baddie turns to, like, pretty much a giant snake. But yeah, that was a strong way to open up Season 2. Season 2, Episode 6, Bloodsport. Hey, I mean, it's called Bloodsport, so it can't be that bad. Bloodsport's awesome. And this is what I was talking about that's like Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man. Where this guy rents a place and he kills a mosquito with a... And pretty much he's really like Kraven the Hunter. But here he's called the Stalker. And they do this backstory of him, flashback, which I thought was artfully done. Because it's all in red. And you get the idea, this animal that hurt him, he got revenge and killed it. But of course, as much as they could for the ratings board, they get away with it. And the fact that it's all done in red, very cool, neat look to it. With the lighting. And so it figures out who Batman is and kidnaps... Oh, I should mention, Batman has a mom and a little brother. Kidnaps his little brother. So then Batman fights him, punches him. Again, pretty... oh shit ending where, spoilers, the guy ultimately gets on the train, and it's like the train hits him. Like, you get the idea that the guy's on the train's coming... And I was like, ooh, shit, okay. That's mean stuff like that, I'm like, okay... Like the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon, like some other stuff where moments that happen, okay, I didn't expect that. It feels like I'm watching, yes, it's a cartoon, but not just diluted for little 10-year-old kids that almost anybody can watch. So I didn't mind that. Didn't mind that episode. So Season 2, Episode 18, Sneak Peek. This, I did not care for at all. I would say of all the episodes I've seen in this, that's my least favorite. Like the one I mentioned was for Season 1. Altogether it'd be this one. Michael McKean, who I do like, he plays his reporter, but he also faced through solid material, espionage. He finds out the secret identity, but then the belt that he's using to phase out malfunctions, and pretty much he phases down, can't grab him, and then Bruce, he guesses that he's going to keep phasing down to the center of the earth. I didn't care for it. I thought it was, the secret identity is not going to be out there because otherwise there'd be no reason to wear a fucking suit or a mask for the rest of the show. If everyone knows who the fuck you are, there's no point in wearing the mask, and they're not going to take that away. So the secret identity is not going to be let out of the bag. I like Michael Mateen, but his villain was just not that interesting of a villain. The battle scenes were nothing of note. Really, the guy defeated himself because the belt malfunctioned, and he phased himself out. So I just didn't care for this at all. I mean, it's cool to hear Michael Mateen, who was in This Is Spinal Tap, and he was in Short Circuit 2 with Fisher Stevens, and them working together to help Johnny Five. But yeah, not an interesting episode at all. And then season 3, Out of the Past. This was interesting because it had a twist I didn't see coming. Because Talia, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, comes back. Of course, she's younger because she uses the Lazarus Pit. And Bruce, is tempted to use his Lazarus Pit, to regain his youth. But then the twist I didn't see coming was that's not really Talia, that's Ra's al Ghul in the body of Talia. And Talia is pretty much dead. Which I didn't see that coming. That this guy killed his own daughter by inhabiting her and taking over her body. And I think that's the thing that really stands out in this episode is the seriousness. That's a pretty serious bit of business there. And a serious bit of storytelling. And also at the beginning, like you have... It also started off interesting enough because at this point in time, they've made musicals on Batman. So Batman and all these villains, a musical production, and Bruce Wayne's just watching and get more and more and more pissed, and he leaves. I thought that was a generally funny moment. And I'm not going to go into details of the action because that's for people, either you've seen the show or if you haven't seen the show, watch it and view it for yourself. But like I said, I don't think it would have been too bad if they actually made it where Bruce was a bit younger. But he's at 80% or 70%, not 100%. But instead, he's like, well, in a week, I'm going to go back to what I am and how I am. And I guess Batman's sort of accepted. And it's kind of sad when you look at Batman, the fact that he's alone, miserable, cynical, living in a mansion by himself. And it is kind of sad that, okay, that's where Batman, where he led to, where his fate was. But on the flip side, he's helping this guy be the new Batman. So, but it's just like, there's no happy ending for Batman. At least that's what it seems like with this show. But yeah, didn't mind Out of the Past for what it was. I would say the action is fine. There's nothing action-wise that stands out to me. Like for example, Shriek, where you had the action scene where there's no sound. Or battling with the Kraven the Hunter type of guy in Bloodsport, or the 3 supervillains and, well, 3 people with powers in Heroes in season 1. Here, because it's the body of a lady, and you can't do too much because it looked too weird to have a guy punching a lady, kicking the shit out of a lady, Batman the wife beater. It looked too weird, so you can't do a whole lot with that. So I think that kind of hinders things on that level. Action-wise, fight-wise. But they do have a nice scene where both Bruce, who at this point is a bit younger, and Batman are fighting guards. That's pretty cool. So it's more with the guards that you get more of the entertaining fights than with Ra's al Ghul himself. And then they give a hint that, maybe he's not dead because he was getting this computer ready and the computer got ready, but then the explosion, so they're kind of leaving it out in case they bring that character back. Which, you can always explain that later. But overall, I didn't mind it. And again, as for the show, really interesting show. Interesting how. Because that's really solid music, very well done music, decent animation, certain edge and seriousness to a lot of the episodes, some fun action from time to time. There's not a whole lot of character development on Terry, whether it be with his girlfriend or, and again, there's not, if you look at that aspect, again, there's not a lot of development. But it does, for the most part, it is standalone stories, which is not a bad thing. Actually, I'm fine with that. It's just some people may be like, "Oh, where's the overarching arc of the character?" It's him being Batman. That's kind of what we want to see. Again, I like the future aspect. That was a idea they utilized well. They didn't waste it. And like I've said before, it makes me really want to see a Spider-Man 2099 cartoon. Like I said, nice to hear some voices I recognize, like Sherman Howard and William H. Macy and Ice-T and Robert Davi, among others. Michael Gross in the first episode. At the end, the suit looks cool. It's a neat design. And I know the next one Lucas wants me to do is the movie Batman Beyond: The Return of the Joker, which I'm curious about to see that now. So I don't know when that will be, but that will be sometime this month. And with that said, yeah, Batman Beyond, really did enjoy. I was rather surprised, pleasantly surprised by this show. At least what I've seen so far. So, yeah, rather liked it. I would have been open to seeing a movie. You keep the type of music, and you have the right person as Terry. Again, I don't know who. I think back to the day Freddie Prinze Jr. wanted to do it. I'm like, nah, not Freddie Prinze Jr. No thanks. Nowadays, I have no fucking clue. Nowadays. No clue. But anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.